Diana, I got your number from your resume on LinkedIn. My name is Sarah, and I'm an old student of. And like you, we had a relationship. I don't know the circumstances of your relationship with him, but it concerns me to see his behavior continued long after I knew him. I'm curious if you would be willing to talk to me about your experience. If not, I respect that.
Sarah, I am at a loss of words, but also have so much to say. Yes, I would love to talk to you about this. Were you a student in Iowa? This is Diana.
This is Sarah.
And this is Blooming After Grooming, our podcast.
Today, Sarah, everyone, welcome to Blooming After Grooming, our podcast that we have here.
It's a podcast that we're trying to do semi-professionally.
Which includes, just friendly reminders to if you are just joining us because you're interested in this topic, the Epstein Files, and you haven't heard any of our other episodes. Go back and listen to Epstein Files 101 and then Epstein Files 101 Part 2 that we did earlier this year. But also, we implore you to go back and listen to Season 1 and all the things that we learned in Season 1, because there's a lot of circling back to Season 1 and Season 2. Today, we here on Blooming After Grooming are going to do a Part 3 of Epstein Files because it's important to keep talking about the Epstein Files. And it's also, how the fuck is it July? So much has happened. And also I feel like nothing has happened. And there's just been a lot of news. There's also World Cup is in North America and the United States. So that is definitely a much needed distraction, I'm going to say. I feel like there's been a lot of community that's come out of it. Yeah. So it's
America's also the only country left in the World Cup that does not have paid maternity leave as a basic human right. I would just like to point that out. Just sidebar.
That is so embarrassing.
Sidebar. Yeah. Oh, it's all embarrassing. Can I just real quick, the 250th birthday party, Great American Fair debacle that's happening in DC right now, which is a giant disaster.
And no one's there.
Did you see the footage of the part of the ceiling of the stage falling down and almost hitting a bunch of dancers, just like in Drop Dead Gorgeous? And I was like, we are living in a movie. This cannot be reality. Also, I'm very happy no one was hurt because they could have legitimately been squished like a bug.
Yes, I did see that video. It was,
yeah. But have you ever seen Drop Dead Gorgeous?
No.
Oh my God.
Not fully.
Okay. I would just like to say to anyone listening, I know that movie is wildly problematic for certain reasons, and much of the humor does not age well. It was a product of its time, but it is also fucking hilarious. And if you're from the Midwest, specifically Minnesota, there's just some really great Minnesota humor going on in that movie, but there is a part where a stage light falls down and almost crushes one of the girls on stage in a beauty pageant, and it feels very it feels like we're living in, not PC, outdated 90s comedy film. That's what this feels like, What the fuck is happening? Anyways, I just wanted to, if there's any Drop Dead Gorgeous fans out there, our moment, it happened.
Hit us up.
It's happening.
Our moment happened.
Yeah. Maybe he'll get on a big swan float and it will all end well. But anyways, yes. So yeah, I think it's important that we're talking about the Epstein Files still, because to your point, Diana, nothing has happened as far as prosecutions or arrests of anybody in the United States in connection to this case, which is appalling. More people have been arrested for quote unquote defacing the fucking reflecting pool in DC than for the Epstein Files. Which
again,
is
embarrassing. We are embarrassing.
The fakest of fake news, not why that's appealing. The only kind of thing that feels good right now is the Supreme Court rejecting Trump's request to overturn the Jean Carroll case. So
okay, so what I will say is you are correct, Sarah, that there have been 0 arrests in the United States. There have been arrests in other countries, but in the United States there have been 0 arrests. However, there have been at least 13 interviews with the House Oversight Committee, and that has included depositions with the Clintons. Bill Gates, I think, was earlier this month. No, last month. And some other people. I think the depositions are really important because it provides information and breadcrumbs for the Department of Justice to start conducting investigations. I think that really is the next step, is pushing for investigations. But also taking a deep breath, because investigate. Do we need to take a breath?
Diana, I think you need to take a breath. You're being a little flippant right now.
Because investigations are going to take fucking forever. So
I can't imagine being a survivor of the Epstein case. Like they're already like 20 years in, dude. To have so much attention around it and have it feel like everyone was actually like honed in. And then now here we are, like what? I don't know, 6 months, 8 months later. And it's like, there's a handful of accounts on social still posting about it. And that's kind of it that I'm seeing. You know what I mean? Like it's not like in front and center, because we're talking about a stupid, disastrous fair and a
oh my
peeling
God.
fucking swimming pool, essentially. Like,
Totally. So when we last recorded an episode about the Epstein Files, Sarah, that was in early February. And February, actually, there were a lot of things that were happening. So we recorded our episode like right before there were some major events that happened in the timeline of this case since releasing the files, or releasing some of the files, because not all of them have been released.
Redacted and heavily edited.
Yes.
Versions. Yes.
Correct. So in February, my girl, Chapel Roan, announced that she was parting ways with Casey Wasserman, I think that's how you say his name, with his talent agency, because of his ties to Ghislaine Maxwell. And Chapel Roan, Miss Roan, said, quote unquote, "Artists deserve representation that aligns with their values and supports their safety and dignity. This decision reflects my belief that meaningful change in our industry requires accountability and leadership that earns trust." So Casey Wasserman did say that he deeply regrets exchanging emails with Maxwell in 2003, and that the communication with Maxwell took place over 2 decades ago, long before her horrific crimes came to light. I would love to have seen more of this, and it's just so telling that it's an artist like Chapel Roan, who was like one of the first to be like, I have enough information I need to make a decision about who I want to align with.
I mean, she also has just gotten so much shit for setting boundaries in general that I feel like she gets painted
God
a lot
forbid.
as like this like princess, because she's like, don't yell at me, don't scream in my face, like. And then the whole bodyguard debacle, which wasn't even her. Like, she didn't say anything to that kid. It's so stupid. Anyways, I think it's important, because I do think it's cool to see an artist that's like, hey, I give a shit about who I'm doing business with. It's not just about money, because so often that is what benefited Epstein this whole time, right? Is that it was just money. People were making money. They were getting connections from him. So they kept their mouths shut. And I think that is how a lot of perpetrators and abusers like succeed in this world, right? Is that like nobody wants to stick their neck out, and nobody wants to be like harmed by like losing the connection. So they keep quiet, because they're like, well, it's just this one thing, or it's just that. It's like, that's how things like completely snowball out of control. And you end up with somebody where everybody knows they're a problem, but nobody's saying anything or doing anything about it.
Yeah.
So good for her.
Speaking of someone else who was a liability and people wanted to distance themselves from, the former Prince Andrew. He was stripped of his title by his brother, King Charles third, I think. I don't know.
King Charles the something.
The King Charles the present. He stripped him of his titles, but in February, Andrew, I don't remember his last name, Windsor something.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was arrested. So he was arrested because of connections to what was found in the Epstein files, but it wasn't anything related to sexual misconduct. He was arrested on suspicion that he shared confidential trade information with Epstein. But either way, still led to some public shaming and some kind of accountability. Although he was
And
released 11 hours afterwards and he wasn't
sure.
charged, but there is an investigation that continues with him.
Plus that photo of him looking absolutely
Oh
terrified
my
in the back of the police
God.
car was like, I wish I had that on a t-shirt. It's just fabulous.
It's so pathetic.
I know. It's like the dream though. It's like that we
Yeah.
always joked about that with our abuser. We had this like fantasy of him getting arrested on school campus and being walked off by the police. And it's like that was that photo. Like I was like, oh, just yummy. Just
Yes.
delicious.
Yeah. Because he's hiding. Like he's in that
Yeah.
position because he's trying to like be slouched down in the backseat of the car.
Mhm.
And he just looks like such a fucking cowardly, pathetic
Because
loser.
he is.
Because he
He's all
is.
of those things. Yes.
Okay, what else? And then in late February, the Clintons were both deposed. They both denied knowing anything about the 2008 charges, which was the first time that Jeffrey Epstein, it was no, like information that he was soliciting a minor for prostitution, which I don't fucking believe. Motherfucker, you guys were the first family. You're telling me you don't still have people like advising you? What are your thoughts on that? Do we believe the Clintons that they didn't know that Jeffrey Epstein was charged with soliciting a minor for prostitution?
I mean, it does feel unlikely that you would not know the backgrounds of the people that you're hanging out with, but it's Samantha Marie. I find it find it hard to believe that you would be hanging out with somebody as a former president that you wouldn't know their background. But I also think you would be around so many people all the time because you're the former president that would you have the capacity to be doing background checks on all of these people? You know what I mean? Like I get like if you like are starting hanging out with them a lot, but if you just like happen to be in the same events and soirees, like there's hundreds of people there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And then I also feel
Okay,
like
that's fair.
now there is also, do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of that thing of like, oh, well, like even the listen, I'm not pro P Diddy, and I think there are some celebrities that 100% knew what was going on there. But people that try to be like, well, this guy was at P Diddy's white party. It's like
Yeah.
along with like 800 other people, dude. Like you can't. You
Okay,
know, I
that's
don't
fair,
know that you can
Sarah.
like say that everybody in that room was complicit when maybe 10% of them actually knew what was going on. But I also think the standards are different today, right? Of like we do have an understanding, I think, now today of who you are spending time with is a reflection upon you on a whole different level than the early 2000s would have had.
I think that is very fair and very reasonable of you. And I very much
But
appreciate that we
also,
have my voice, which is like bordering tinfoil hat
yep.
person. And then there's Sarah that's like, but consider this. And
Now,
it does help.
do I think that he groomed and took advantage of Monica Lewinsky
Yes.
and that she was done dirty by our entire country and deserves a
100%.
fucking apology? 100%. So
We
also
should
fuck that
honestly
guy.
have a memorial or something to Monica Lewinsky. Yes, absolutely.
She's still alive.
Oh, but like
She has a podcast.
a future memorial. We should plan it
Yeah.
out for her.
It's
'Cause
true.
she-
It's
for
true,
her.
dude. It's
Yeah.
but you know, assholes would just come and leave cigars at the foot of it. So, you know,
Oh my
listen,
God.
let's just
Yeah,
leave her
you're right,
alone.
you're right.
How about that
Let's just-
solution? We
okay.
just let
There
her
we go.
enjoy
Let's
her
leave her
life.
alone. Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. And you're right. Like before 2011, I want to say, is like things really weren't online as much. It was harder to
Yeah.
get information. People weren't as connected. Now, do we believe? Because another thing that Bill Clinton said is that he thought Epstein was, quote unquote, an interesting man. And he also said, Bill Clinton also said, quote, there's nothing that I saw when I was around him that made me realize he was trafficking women, unquote. Clinton said he never witnessed Epstein abuse young women or girls, nor did he discuss sexual acts with him.
Bullshit.
That
Bullshit.
I don't believe.
Bullshit.
Okay.
Bullshit. Your presidency is completely overshadowed by a sexual scandal. And you're hanging out with Epstein, who is like a known sex fiend maniac. Bullshit. First 30 minutes of those two yahoos in the same room, they're talking about sex. Bullshit.
Yes.
Zero belief.
There are pictures of you getting massaged
Yeah.
in these
No.
files. Like, you can't tell me
No.
that you didn't ever talk
Mm-mm.
about sexual
No.
conduct. No. Mm-mm.
No. They were high-fiving each other. No way, Jose. Don't
Agreed.
believe it at all.
Both of the Clintons denied knowing that he donated money to their campaigns and causes. And the one thing that I will, uh, I don't know, be like, all right, tip of the hat to you, sir, was that Bill Clinton, even though both of them did fight the subpoenas for a while, eventually he said he agreed to testify because, quote, America was built on the idea that no one is above the law, even presidents, especially the presidents.
Says the
Unquote.
guy who lied under oath about his affair with Monica Lewinsky. And that's how he got
Yeah.
impeached. He's like, listen, I learned. You probably shouldn't lie. Doesn't
Yeah.
end well.
Okay. So in April, Pam Bondi is fired.
That was a good day. That was a good day.
That's a good day.
But of course, also, the only person held accountable so far is a woman, which is also frustrating. Listen, she's trash. I'm glad. But also, it is frustrating. That's like, yeah, you know what? We should punish someone. Let's punish that lady.
So Pam Bondi did agree to testify in May in front of the House Oversight Committee. And basically, she didn't really answer any of the Democrat questions. And with the questions from the Republicans, the main kind of theme was that she was trying to say, like, as a person like at the top of the organizational chart, like, I did not oversee, reviewing of the documents, or I didn't see every step of this process. So that's like her excuse. Like, sure, when you are like the director of something, you are delegating a lot, but you're still responsible for it,
Yeah. The buck ends with you or stops with you.
Yeah.
Also, she was flippant. If you want to talk about something being flippant, she was flippant during that. She was a real bitch. She really was. I could not imagine having been the survivors in the room with her while she was testifying. It was terrible.
In June is when Bill Gates testifies. He does his little interview, and he says that his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein was all professional, and that he never witnessed or participated in any sexual misconduct, but that he might have seen the victims. I also don't believe that he didn't participate in anything. If anything, like, wasn't it known that he was having an affair? And not that that's misconduct, but I don't know.
Well, I
just don't know if
wonder,
I
is
believe
like in
this.
these people's minds, is it like I had sexual relations with girls that were supplied to me via Jeffrey, but I didn't know that they were trafficked, or I didn't know that they were underage. You know what I mean? So like in their mind, they're like, I didn't commit abuse. Do you know what I mean? Like I had a consensual experience or something. But
Mhm.
obviously you would think they would understand the context of that now.
Here's what I think went on with Bill Gates and like why he agreed to this 6-hour interview. Based off this thing that he said himself, that what did he say? But I might have seen the victims. I think he knows, like, he saw really young girls around and
Yeah.
didn't say anything about it and didn't do anything about it.
Mhm.
And I think now he feels some kind of remorse, and that's why he did answer every single question according to my sources, which will be in the show notes. He did answer every single question. So I think in his way he is trying to redeem himself, but I feel that's so fucked up. Like, a man with that kind of power and money spots some
Mhm.
questionable shit and is
Mhm.
just like, I'm going to look the other way
But I
and
think that's
leave these
what
girls be.
most
Oh my
people
God.
do. I think that's what most people
You
do.
know what, Sarah? I think you're right. Let me tell you a story. I was in the city of Chicago last week with my sister and one of our girlfriends, and we
When your
went to
shoes
this
broke?
place when my shoes broke. Oh my God. Listeners, check out a video that we'll post.
You did post it. It's on our
um,
Instagram.
it's on our Instagram.
Yeah. I don't know if you did that on purpose. You shared it. It's not on our main
Oh,
wall. You
okay,
like
perfect.
reshared it. Yeah.
Okay, yes. That's the video we're talking about. Yes, that day when my shoes fell apart, we were at this rooftop bar, and the bartender was talking to us about how like he saw a guy trying to put something in another woman's drink, and he like told the
Mm.
guy, "You need to get out of here. You need to get out of here, or I'm going to call the cops." And in his
No,
mind,
call the
he thinks he
cops.
did. I know, but in his mind, he's like, "I did something right because I saved this girl." Sure, but now you just let this man go out in the wild so that he could go do this to
Yep.
someone else. So it's
Yeah,
like,
you
yeah,
just
they don't. They don't want to get
witnessed an
involved.
attempted rape, dude. Like, that's atrocious. Yes, people don't wanna stick their necks out, and they don't wanna get involved, and I do think, and I'm sure Bill Clinton is in the same camp of, like, there is no way he did not see Epstein around young girls. It
Yeah.
is like you said, there's photos of them, like, on the plane and shit. Like, it's not possible. Now, I think they chose to turn away from it and not say anything about it and ignore it or not report it because they're buddies, or he's got a cool island, or he
Oh
can
my
get me
God.
access to this, that, or the other.
Men, everyone, you don't have to
But
mind your own
again,
business.
he is a man that did not think it was problematic to be sleeping with a, like, how old was Monica Lewinsky? She was like 23 or some shit. Intern. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a
Mhm.
person that literally abused the highest level of power in our country to sexually manipulate a girl that was much younger than him. And we're thinking that he's going to have the moral compass to be like, that Epstein, something's wrong. I should
That's so
probably
true.
report it to somebody. You
It's
know what I
very
mean?
true.
His moral compass is all fucked up on his own.
Like I get the optics and like the messaging behind it, but I did not like seeing him
Mm.
at the Obama Foundation opening. It's like, get that guy out of here. Why are
I know. He's such an
they
embarrassment.
there?
By the way, Monica Lewinsky is 22 and Bill Clinton was 49.
That's disgusting
It's disgusting.
on
Fuck
so
that
many
guy.
levels. Fuck that
Yeah.
guy. Okay, something else that
This is just turning
happened.
into the anti Bill Clinton podcast. It's a 27-year age difference. That's
And on a wild abuse of power.
Oh, it really is.
And
Anyways.
an extramarital affair. Like, there's just so
Mhm.
many layers to just
But good
what were you
thing
fucking thinking?
But good thing the country at the time just focused on her being a slut and body shaming her and calling her fat and making fun of her clothes. That's all that really matters.
Oh, the 90s.
And we grew up watching that, right? Like the
I
messaging of
know.
that as like a young girl. Oh God.
So many things to unlearn, so many pathways to
Mhm.
rewire.
This is true.
Sarah, do you
Yeah.
remember Melania's press conference, random ass press conference
Oh
that
my
came out?
God, I forgot about that. See, so much stupid shit happens now that you like, can barely even keep it on your head. I completely forgot about that. That was really
Let me
weird.
tell you the tea behind that press
Oh,
conference.
yes, please do. Please do.
Okay.
I haven't
So,
thought about that in a long time.
because it was so random as hell.
It was. It was.
And like, what was the point of this? So, this is what happened. There is a model by the name of Amanda Ungaro, who is a former model from Brazil. And her former long term partner, his name is Paolo Zampoli. He is a Trump appointed UN ambassador. So Amanda sued her ex partner, Paolo, for child support. And there was
Okay.
a deadline this year for him to pay what he owed her. And if he didn't pay her, he was going to possibly face jail time. So 2 days before that deadline, Amanda and her now husband were arrested for giving Botox and butt injections without a license. They pled not guilty because they have like a spa together. So they were both arrested.
Okay.
Her current husband has a green card. And so he was released on bail. But Amanda was picked up by ICE and detained for 3 months and then deported back to Brazil.
Hmm.
So she feels that this is because of her ex, Paolo. And he is also currently the special envoy of the president of the United States for global partnership, whatever the fuck that means. So
Sure.
Amanda reaches out to Melania for help because they were old pals.
Okay.
And Melania's like, I don't know this woman, and leaves her hanging basically.
Hmm.
So then Amanda starts like putting stuff on Twitter. She tweets, I have nothing left to lose in my life. I will tear down the entire system. Be careful with me, bitch. Maybe you should be afraid of what I know, of who you are and who your husband is. I have known you for 20 years. You knew I was detained in ICE. You were present in my life every year on my son's birthday, even sending Secret Service and being the first to congratulate him back in 2016. Do you know what I think about you after 20 years? And so the next day, Melania does her press conference. It does maybe sound like Amanda was also groomed and a victim and might still be because
Groomed by
so
who?
Epstein, he flew her to New York.
Oh.
Yes, he flew her to New York when she was
Oh, I thought
17.
okay, no, sorry. I didn't realize she was, like, involved with Epstein. I thought she was just, like, some friend of the Trumps.
I should have probably maybe added some more context. But yeah, so Epstein flew her when she was just 17, and then she met her ex, Paolo, when he was 32 at the time. They got together when she was 19. That's just what he says. I had no idea that that was behind, or, that's allegedly what's behind that press conference, because I do remember seeing in the news, and it kind of did happen in a time where not I won't say people forgot about the Epstein files, but they weren't making headlines anymore. And then all of a sudden, here's Melania Trump being like, didn't know this man and I don't know what he did and all this stuff. Yeah, I just wanted to provide some background information about that for you and our listeners.
Well, that's interesting because I remember when it happened, I just saw a bunch of posts where people like, "Oh shit, like she's gonna like throw him under the bus. Like here we go." You know what I mean? Like something big's about to happen because it was so random. And
Mhm.
yeah, to your point, it kind of felt like I don't remember, but there was some other embarrassing drama happening at the time, as there always is with Trump because he
Ugh.
is literally the fucking biggest embarrassment ever. Uh, and then to have her just be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about Epstein again," felt really strange and like
So in April, late April, was the 1 year anniversary of Virginia Giuffre's death. And
mhm,
so her family, like her brothers and their wives, did a vigil at
mhm,
the in DC. After Andrew M. Windsor was arrested, they did put out a statement about how, it's too bad that Virginia is not here to see it, but it's nice to see that it's happening, at least something's happening. But yeah, let's transition into talking about Virginia Giuffre and her book,
mhm.
Nobody's Girl.
Before we do real quick, I would like to also mention that as of like 9 days ago, they announced that they are officially opening an investigation into her death in Australia. Yeah, because so officially it says she died of suicide. There's a lot of people that don't feel that that is true, given the circumstances around her death. I think her family's stance is that at the very least, like it was mishandled. So yeah, so the investigation might be more around if they mishandled her domestic dispute
Okay.
report, and if their mishandling of that led to her suicide, is what it sounds like, versus it saying she didn't kill herself.
Oh, I don't know. I am not going to pretend to know, but just everything that she wrote in that book. And I know, as someone who is mentally questionably unstable, like, you can change your mind from day to day. There's days where it's like, yeah, this is the answer, and there's days where it's like, no, I would never. So I'm not trying to say like she can't change her mind about, like, because she wrote that she would never, and she tweeted that she would never commit suicide, and she's told her
Sure.
therapist and all of that.
But she also made no mention at all of any abuse within her marriage in that book, which doesn't
Oh,
mean
that's so
anything
true.
either to me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
No, she very much made him sound like the perfect husband.
yes, and she also very much okay, did we say the name of the book that we're now just rambling about?
I think so, but in case we didn't, the book is called Nobody's Girl. It was released after her death by Virginia Giuffre Roberts.
Yes. So, yeah, in the book she never mentions there is a foreword.
I'm
I
sorry,
listened to the
correction.
audio. Sorry.
Virginia Roberts Giuffre.
There you go. I listened to the audiobook and there was a foreword. I don't know if it was in your copy. I would assume they'd be the same. But there was like a statement from her family that was like she was in an abusive marriage. Like there was a whole statement at the beginning of the book about like their stance on the relationship because there is no mention of it in the book from her. But again, I don't think that means it didn't happen. I think it's very clear a few times in the book when she's talking about different like arguments they might have had or struggling moments in their marriage that she very much viewed herself. as the problem. You know what I mean? Because she was so damaged because of what happened to her, that she was just this kind of monstrous person that he had to deal with. So it would make sense that if abuse was happening even when she was writing this, that like she might not have she might have thought she deserved it. Do you know what I mean? Like just the way she talks about herself in the book is
Yeah.
very diminishing.
Yeah, it was a really tough read. I mean, she goes into the first, like, scene of the book,
Mhm.
like, I just still visualize a girl bruised and crying who had just been brutally raped, who's, like,
Mhm.
16, 15, or 16 at this point, so vulnerable, and then some other fucking creepy guy rolls up in a car and is like, "Hey, let me take care of you," kind of vibe. It's
Yeah.
just and that's not even where it started, like, for her, it started in her childhood.
Mhm.
She lived a really hard life and, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know what really happened or what was going on within her behind closed
Yeah.
doors, the last few
I mean,
months.
she did talk in the book about struggling with suicidal thoughts, you know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah.
like I mean, it's in the book. Like she talked about, wanting to self-harm. And I mean, you read this book and it's like, dude, you are a poster child for someone that would self-harm. And she really genuinely went through one horrific trauma after another and was really let down by so many people around her and truly just like hunted by the most predatory, evil fucking people repeatedly, different people in different situations that had no connection to each other. Like, I don't think it would be a stretch of the imagination at all to believe that she ended up in an abusive relationship. Because as we've talked about, like, unfortunately, when you are victimized like that, you do have a higher risk of being re-abused. You have a higher risk of self-harm, of substance abuse. She had all of that, I mean, like
Mhm.
she was checking all of the boxes, and she died at 41. If she had made it longer, she probably would have had other negative outcomes as well. Like it's just it's yeah, I mean, it's a very heavy read. I know a few people that have read it. I've known a few people that like have had to quit halfway through reading it. Like it is pretty devastating read, but I also think it's like a really important read because
Yes.
what I really appreciate about the book is it shows, because now I think a lot of people in the Epstein situation are trying to vilify some of the survivors as co-conspirators, right? Oh, well, this girl went and, got other girls to join. So now they're just as bad as the guys, right? Or whatever. Like they should be held responsible because they also were like procuring girls for this guy. And I feel like unless you read this book, you can't really fully understand the universe they were living in, right?
Mhm.
Like at least in her case, like they needed money. Do you know what I mean? Like she didn't have anywhere to go. Like this was like you know what I mean? Like they have some of these kids, it's like they have bad home lives, or they want to get out of where they're at and they don't necessarily have the capacity to, or they have perfectly fine home lives, but they've got insecurities that are being taken advantage of. Like, and they're young and they're being groomed and they're being manipulated and lied to, and their brains are telling them what's happening to them is okay, so that they don't understand the horrors of what's happening to them, so they don't understand what they're doing to somebody else is a terrible thing. Like, and so I think that that part of it is important about this book, is just to really understand that, like, even if a victim procured 10 other victims, at least to me, I don't think that they should be held responsible in the same way as,
I
like,
agree.
they're kids.
Yeah. Yes.
This is a kid who has a dream. She thinks she's getting this great opportunity to be like paid, to be trained, to be a masseuse. Her parent is dropping her off at the house. So, that's giving you some semblance of like safety because, oh, my parent is taking me there. This must be an okay thing for me
Mhm.
to do. Like, I'm not having to sneak off or anything. Now, do I feel like her parent could have possibly done a little due diligence and not dropped their young teenage daughter off at a stranger millionaire's
Well, this is
house
also a
to be
man who sexually
massaged?
abused her.
This
when
is
she was 8 years
accurate.
old.
Yes,
So
this is very true. So he wasn't too
I
concerned.
remember what I was going to say. So, yes, it is a tough read. It's very hard to get through. And I agree, it is an important read. And for all the reasons you said, and I also think that it shows just such a unique perspective of someone who was in that world for so
Mhm.
long. Like, she really got to know Jeffrey Epstein and
Mhm.
Ghislaine Maxwell, and kind of like how we were talking about with Bill Clinton of, does he even have the moral compass to understand what he did was wrong? There's many times in the book where Virginia writes about how Jeffrey Epstein like did not feel he was doing anything wrong. Like, he found ways
Yeah.
to justify why he was attracted to prepubescent girls and teenage
Mhm.
girls, and she makes a really good point. She says that he could not be convinced that having sex with a minor was wrong because no one can agree on what a minor is. And that brings us back to the conversation we had with future Dr. Alyssa Amendola about how the history of consent laws like really depend on big cases that shape those laws in each state, which is why some laws are, the consent is like 16, some is
Yeah.
17. And so yeah, it's hard to argue with that. It's hard to argue. I mean, it's
Well,
not if you have a moral compass, but like if you're
yeah.
someone like Jeffrey
Well, and
Epstein, yeah.
in the book, I feel like he also specifically in that probably same section specifically talked about how, yeah, it's different states to state. And to me, I'm like, do we need any clearer example of why state laws matter? Because you were talking about a serial perpetrator that clearly was paying attention to state laws and was positioning himself in locations to lessen his chances of being legally held accountable for abusing children. So,
Mm,
like, that's why state legislation fucking matters. And if you have a state,
yes.
if you live in a state where you have a lower age of consent, where you have shorter statute of limitation times, you are living in an area that perpetrators know they have more rights and more freedom to abuse minors. And you should fucking be terrified about that and you should give a shit. Like I think when you bring it up, sometimes people are kind of like, "Oh, well, these people aren't paying attention." It's like, "Of course they are."
Of course they
Like,
are.
why
What do you
would
mean?
you
It's
not
their
be paying
lifestyle.
attention? Yes. Why would you not move to a place where you know you can get away with it and keep doing whatever the fuck you want to do? You would.
I would want to move to a blue state. Like, I would do my homework on what freedoms I would have any
Mhm.
state that I would move to. Can I buy weed legally? Can I
Yeah.
get an abortion
Yeah.
if I need to? These are all things that I would look up based on my values and my lifestyle and things that
Mhm.
matter to me. You're telling me that a predator who
Yeah.
is like skilled at avoiding detection, like, wouldn't look into, come on.
Yep. But I
Come
think that this book just goes, yeah, there's some parts in it that I think were very like goes to show like, yeah, these people are paying attention. I did see a thing the other day where someone tweeted or threads, I don't know what you call it when you're commenting on threads, but they said like when a girl has her period, she becomes a woman. And it was just like 5,000 comments of being like, okay, predator, okay, pedophile. And I was just like, oh, this is why I love threads so much. Like they're just
It's
getting
a
absolutely eaten alive. But it's
yes.
true because to some people that's their definition, right? Is like, oh, you have the physical capacity to get pregnant, whether or not it would be safe or viable for you, but you have the physical capacity. So that must mean that you're a woman and you're no longer a child. And shit, dude, kids are getting their periods now at like 9, you know?
Yeah.
So if that's your wackadoodle definition of a woman, sweet baby
That's
Jesus. Disgusting.
There is like a little section that I want to read that really resonated with me when I was reading the book. So this is on page 212. It says, there are those who've criticized Epstein's victims for entering into confidential settlements with Epstein because they assert that allowed him to sweep his problems under the rug. People are particularly judgmental about our receiving money from him. My response to that is anger. The DOJ, not Epstein's victims, made the secret deal that ultimately let Epstein off the hook in 2008. Alexander Acosta, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, approved the non prosecution agreement behind closed doors without consulting and while actively misleading Epstein's victims.
Mm.
Afterward, those of us whom Epstein had abused were told that was the end of it. Epstein wouldn't be prosecuted, no matter how much we wanted him to be. We were also told that extracting money from him was the only way to punish him. Remember that it was the DOJ that connected me with a lawyer so I could sue. But here's the real reason I'm angry at those who judge victims who settle. All that legalese in our lawsuits about pain and suffering and mental anguish, those things are real. And getting treatment for them costs money. When I settled with Epstein, I had a little money for the first time in my life. After years of scrimping, of buying secondhand furniture, driving used cars, and Xeroxing baby photos instead of ordering extra prints, Robbie and I could now buy our first house. We found a 3-bedroom in the suburb of Glenning Valley, about 2 hours north of Sydney. Epstein had taken what was left of my childhood, but now a tiny fraction of his immense fortune was going to ensure that my children grew up in their own home.
The way that victims are vilified for doing financial settlements, like, it costs money. The damage that has been done to her directly impacted her ability to function as a fucking adult and make money, right? And she spent so much time like running around and testifying and like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't work if you're flying all over the fucking place
Mm-hmm.
trying to fight this guy, right? But the irony too is then the idea of like, oh, you signed a confidential. It's like, guess who asked for the confidentiality? Not the victims, you douchebags. It's the fucking perpetrator. Like, they're the ones that want the confidentiality.
That part resonated a lot with me because the part where she writes that she was told that the only way
Mhm.
to punish him was to extract money, and the
Yeah.
realization of that being the truth. And that hit because I remember when I was going through my 3 lawsuits in 2023 or whatever that was, I was so naive and I didn't realize like that's the point of a lawsuit. And so
Yeah.
when I named the 3 other bystanders,
Mhm.
I knew I didn't want money from them, but I
Sure.
didn't really realize that that's the only thing I would really get from them,
Yeah.
which I didn't. Like, in the end, I didn't ask for any money from them.
You could have pulled a
But
Taylor Swift and asked for like $1 or something,
I should
like a
have. I should
spite
have.
lawsuit, you know? You're just like,
Yeah, I totally
I
should
just
have.
need you to know that you fucked up. I will take
Well,
$1 and
that's
I will donate that dollar.
I mean, that's kind of like why I did name them and, like,
Yeah.
wasn't expecting, any money. It was just like, I just want you to have to live with this the way that I have to live with this.
Yeah.
When I was suing my former employer for wrongful termination and eventually, like, had that conversation with my lawyer about, well, I what if I just don't ask for any money? I just ask for them to, like, make actual policy changes so that this doesn't
Mhm.
happen in the future. My lawyer very kindly was like, "Well, there's nothing in it for me, so no, I
Yeah,
wouldn't
because that's what
keep
they're
this
doing. They wanna
case."
make money. Yeah.
Exactly, yes. So, yeah, I think, I don't know, maybe I'm just making assumptions about the general public, but this is stuff that you learn as you go through it, and I think
Mhm.
I could just relate to that feeling that maybe Virginia was feeling of like, "Oh, this is my one option is money. This is, like, the one
Yeah.
thing I can do."
But unfortunately, those are kind of the 2 big options people have.
Mhm.
Send the person to jail or you get money from them. There is not a good third. I mean, I know there's a lot of people trying to do restorative justice and all that kind of, but you can't do restorative justice if the other person will not admit to what they did. It doesn't
Right.
work. Like, restorative justice is not one person is doing all the work and the other person does nothing. It doesn't, like, we couldn't have gotten restorative justice.
No.
Our abuser asked me to take down the website that I personally fund has all of the documentation about the rulings about what he did to us. And he had a lawyer call me and ask me to take it down in good faith. That's not restorative justice, bitch.
Not at
That's
all.
bullshit.
I
That's some
fuck
bullshit.
that guy.
Oh,
He's
fuck. If
the
you're listening,
worst.
go fuck yourself. Uh yes, I hope your day is going terribly and that your socks always slouch down into your shoes all the time.
Ah!
Anyways, so you've got jail, money, right? And at the time, the Epstein survivors at that point were literally bamboozled and did not get communicated to correctly about the agreements that he got in Florida, which is a whole other we talked about already, a whole bag of bullshit. And so it did seem that criminal charges were probably completely unrealistic And so financial would
Mhm.
literally be her only course of action. So it just sucks that, again, I find it so fascinating. I got asked this when I got interviewed by the news a few weeks ago, where they were asking about victim blaming and stuff. And I was like, I think it's such a reflection on the people that say it. If your instinct is to assume that the victim is being greedy instead of believing what happened to them, or believing that what happened to them was so much worse than the financial loss that this perpetrator is going to experience, like, that says so much about you
Mhm.
and not about me as a survivor. That has nothing to do with me. That is all you projecting your own fucked up views of the world onto somebody else. And so, yeah, I don't know.
Period.
Period.
Well, I mean, there's so much more that we could say about the book, but those were like the main things that I wanted to comment on. Definitely recommended reading. Take breaks as you need it, but it
Mhm.
really is an important telling of her life and what she went through, what she did with that tragedy, and what she tried to do to help herself and help
Mhm.
others. So get it at your local bookstore or bookshop.org or thrift books if you can.
Yeah, no, it's a very good book. It's very heavy, and the way that she wrote it, I like that she ping-pongs back and forth. It'll be, like, one really heavy chapter, and then she'll do, like, a chapter that's more, like, current times about her kids and her life, and then she'll go back, and I think she says something in the book along the lines of, like, "I know this is jarring, but this is really heavy, and I
Yeah,
can't stay in this place for very long. I have to, like, beep bop out of it, and
I
then I
like
can
that.
come back to
Yeah.
it." Yeah, so
I
it's
do like
broken
that
up a little
she
bit.
acknowledged that when she was writing. Like it's like she knew that it was going to be hard for her readers
Yeah.
to read, and so she does acknowledge that. Like I know this is jarring, I know this is really hard, but like imagine living this.
Mhm.
Like, so the very least I can do is read it and witness it through that, but yeah.
Are there any other, Epstein survivors that have written anything about their experience? It's like, is this the only first person, firsthand you know what I'm saying? Like,
I
a
think I think
account
so. I know
that the
there's, like,
public can
art,
generally ring? Yeah.
there's artwork, but I don't know if there's any other memoirs of survivors of
Yeah.
Epstein telling their
It's
stories.
it's definitely worth listening, or, yeah, reading or listening to, like I said, did the audiobook, but, um, because even just hearing her, I mean, she goes into, like, the first time she was abused by him, and, how those conversations went, and, like, the interaction, and as difficult as they were it was to listen to, it's like, I think it is important to show that's how grooming works, you know what I mean? Or coercion. I don't even know if, like hers was, like, so immediate, you know what I mean? Like, but it's like you're young and you don't really know what you're supposed to be doing, and you don't know what's normal and you don't know
Mhm.
what's not normal, and you don't want to upset anybody, and you're a girl, so you've
Mhm.
been taught to, like, be accommodating, and you've also already been abused
Yeah.
previously, so you are predisposed to kind of falling into this. And, like, it's just, I think, very understandable when you're listening to it to realize, like, yeah, like, if I had been in that position when I was that age, like, what would I have done? You know what I mean? Like, I probably would have just gone along with it too.
When she did meet Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, they were kind of like parent figures almost at first is how it
Mhm.
started. Like, oh, these people are taking care of me. They're feeding me. They're paying me. They were providing
Mhm.
needs that her parents were not providing. And all of that's really complicated, and especially when you're a kid. And it does impact how you grow up. Give it a read or a listen.
Yeah.
The very last thing that I want to mention before we wrap up this Epstein episode, Epstein part 3, is have you heard of the Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Library that's
I have.
popped up in New York and DC?
Yes, I have. It's delightful.
Okay, so when I first saw this, I thought it was you could actually go through the files and like all that stuff.
Mhm.
You actually can't. It's an exhibit. But
Okay.
I love this idea, and I will link a video that shows like this art installation basically is what it actually is, and how you can support helping take it on tour, which I do think is important because the video
Mhm.
shows that they did print out every single available page, which is over 3 million pages,
Wow.
and put them in binders. All those binders weighed 17,000 pounds, so they are
Jeez.
on display, but for protection and confidentiality of the victims that whose names aren't redacted. Like
Mm-hmm.
the point of it is not to go and look through the binders, but they have that on there just to like, so you can like see and witness and feel the mass of like how many files there are. And then they also
Mm-hmm.
have like a timeline of Trump and Jeffrey Epstein on display. They have like a wall for people to leave messages to the victims or to other victims of sexual abuse. Like it's just a very interactive thought piece, and it's art. And we've talked about on the podcast about how like art really is important in times of social unrest. Art is important all the time. And I think this is a really good way to give the public a way to interact with the reality of these files in a very tangible way, in a way that might help
Mm-hmm.
them understand why we are saying we have to keep talking about the files. We have to start doing investigations. We have to start having the Epstein trials. So if you can, make a donation to chip in and help it go across the country, because right now they've just had pop-up locations in DC and New York, but the idea is to take it to college campuses and other places where there's large groups of people who are going to vote in an upcoming election. So, or
Oh my God,
anyone who wants
yes.
to witness this. So yeah, I think that's a
Also,
really cool idea.
I'll start educating yourself about your upcoming elections in November. There are some big ones coming up, depending on where you live. Iowa is going to get a new governor. Sweet baby
Whew.
Jesus. Really hoping that it's not the Republican candidate that wins. He's doesn't even live in the state, by the way. The guy that's running for,
I'm sorry.
yeah, no. And he said if he wins, he will be in Iowa as much as humanly possible.
Sarah, what?
I don't know. I didn't even think that was a thing you could do. Apparently, he must have multiple homes.
Why would
But
anyone
yes.
want him to be their governor if he's not even willing to live in the state?
Because they're Republicans and they just refuse to vote for anyone that's not. I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know. Luckily, Rob Sand, the other guy that's running, is running as a Democrat, but he's actually more of an independent, and he is very kind of like two-party systems are stupid, and I have to like align myself with one of them to even be allowed to run, which is stupid. And I think the fact that we have two parties that are just bickering with each other means nothing's getting done. And I kind of think that stance is resonating with people because everyone's just really frustrated, And so it's just like he's just kind of being like, listen, I don't fucking care what letters next to your name. Are we doing things that are good for the state? Yes or no? Like is kind of his whole vibe. So
I love it.
talk to your friends, talk to your family, please.
Please.
Could we just?
Okay, well, that is going to conclude this episode. Thank you for listening to Blooming After Grooming. Our website is bloomingafterpod.com. Our email is bloomingaftergrooming@gmail.com. And you can find us on TikTok and Instagram at bloomingafterpod. Thank you for listening. And lots of stuff happening. Oh, it is 4th of July weekend. There's a lot of mixed feelings about that while we're recording this. I'm going to also in the show notes. Oops, I pushed a button. Link a video to this program called Letters Live or Live Letters or something like that. And it's a letter that Lawrence Fishburne is reading out loud. And it's a letter written in like 1865 by a formerly enslaved person by the name of Jordan Anderson, who writes to his former master, who has just asked him to come back because his plantation is not doing well. And it is just so perfect. It's like 6 minutes. Give it a listen. Lawrence Fishburne does a great job. And I just love when this man is like, yeah, I'll come work for you if you do these things. So I know that I can trust you. And I don't know. It's a great listen. We'll link it. But yes, 250 years of freedom for some. Let us keep that in mind and let us keep fighting for true freedom for all.
Perfectly said, Diana. Perfectly said.
And lastly, lastly.
You were so confident, buddy. You were so like, I got it. I just said this beautiful thing. And I'm going to just crash into a brick wall.
It's too much pressure,
Remember to grow through.
Oh, what you go through. Look at us switching it up. Okay, goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. I was like,
it's okay.
Word salad falling out of my mouth.
Word salad. Okay. I like that more than word vomit.
Yeah, well, vomit's gross. Salad's delicious.